Fueled by anger and a bruised ego, Mike decided to take matters into his own hands. He came up with a plan, childish, maybe, but in his mind, it was payback. Pretending to be a plumber, he showed up at Rachel's house, ready to make her day as miserable as she had made his. At first, everything went according to plan. He watched her stumble and struggle, feeling a twisted sense of satisfaction. But then, things went wrong. A small prank turned into a real accident, and Rachel ended up hurt. In that instant, the anger that had been driving him vanished, replaced by guilt that cut far deeper than his revenge ever could. He realized he had gone too far, that she wasn't the monster he imagined, just a human being who didn't deserve this. And for the first time, he saw the damage his own bitterness had caused. It all started with what seemed like an ordinary day at work. Mike, a hard-working delivery guy, was just doing his job when he crossed paths with Rachel, a young woman who appeared cold and entitled. What he didn't realize was that she was blind, and when a simple misunderstanding turned into an embarrassing confrontation, everything spiraled out of control. Her sharp words and the humiliation that followed cost him his job. For Mike, it wasn't just about losing work, it was about losing his dignity in front of everyone. The sting of that moment stayed with him, burning like a quiet fire inside. He couldn't shake the image of her face, the way she dismissed him like he was nothing. That day, his anger took root, and he made himself a promise: he wouldn't let this go easily. Something inside him wanted to make her regret it. When Rachel finally began to heal, Mike knew his time with her was coming to an end. He told himself it was better this way, she would move on, and he would go back to his old life. But as he packed his things, the silence between them said everything their words couldn't. Rachel stopped him, her voice trembling, and told him he wasn't just someone who helped her through a rough time, he had become her eyes, her hope, her reason to smile again. Mike's heart ached, torn between love and the fear that he wasn't good enough for her. But when she reached for his hand, he understood. Love didn't care about wealth or status, sight or blindness. It only cared about the hearts that found each other in the dark, and chose to stay, even when the world disappeared. One quiet evening, as they sat together, Rachel finally opened up about the darkness that had shaped her life. She told Mike about the accident that had taken her parents and her sight, a day that split her world into before and after. Every word trembled with pain, but beneath it was a strength that took Mike's breath away. He listened, realizing how much she had endured, how her blindness wasn't just physical, it was the wall she had built to survive. In that moment, he didn't see her as fragile anymore, he saw her courage, her resilience, and the quiet grace with which she carried her scars. Something deep inside him shifted. What he felt was no longer sympathy, it was love, pure and unspoken, born from the realization that her world, though dark, was far brighter than his had ever been. Days turned into weeks, and their awkward routine slowly began to change. The constant arguments softened into playful teasing, and the silence between them no longer felt heavy. Mike started finding joy in making her smile, whether it was through a clumsy joke, a homemade meal, or simply describing the colors of the sunset she couldn't see. And Rachel, in her own quiet way, began to trust him. For the first time in years, she allowed someone to step into her guarded world. She laughed more, talked more, and her confidence slowly returned. What began as two broken souls thrown together by chance started to feel like something real, something healing. Mike realized that he wasn't just helping her regain balance in her life, she was helping him find purpose in his own. Without even noticing, they had started to change each other completely. When Mike saw Rachel in pain, something inside him shifted. The thought of just walking away didn't feel right anymore. Maybe it was guilt, or maybe it was something deeper he couldn't name, but he knew he had to make things right. So instead of disappearing, he decided to stay and help her recover, even when she didn't want his help. Their early days together were filled with tension. She was stubborn, demanding, and constantly testing his patience. But Mike stayed, cooking for her, cleaning, guiding her around the house, doing whatever it took to make her life a little easier. Somewhere in those long, quiet moments, the anger faded. He began to see her not as the arrogant girl who ruined his life, but as someone strong, lonely, and fragile beneath her pride. What started as an obligation slowly began to feel like something that truly mattered.